Imagine this. It's March 1940. The world's largest ocean liner, a marvel of engineering and luxury, secretly slips out to sea. Her destination, unknown to almost everyone on board. Her cargo, not a single passenger. This wasn't a pleasure voyage. It's a high-stakes dash across the Atlantic during the terrifying dawn of World War II. This, of course, was the RMS Queen Elizabeth, and her maiden voyage was unlike anything ever seen. I'm Chris Frame, a maritime historian and author, and this is a story you won't soon forget. The Queen Elizabeth was the second of Cunard's ambitious, gigantic express liners. Their goal? To dominate the transatlantic route with a weekly two-ship express service, the first of its kind. Think about it, two massive ships, one departing Southampton and one leaving New York, passing mid-ocean, delivering thousands of passengers across the Atlantic in less than a week. And fast. These leviathans, powered by immense turbine engines, could slice through the waves at over 30 knots. The first ship, RMS Queen Mary, was launched in 1934 and entered service in 1936. She had a fascinating, delayed construction due to the Great Depression, a story for another video. But to finish her, Cunard merged with White Star Line, backed by crucial government funding to build not just the Queen Mary, but also to build her running mate. That running mate was laid down as Hull 552 in December of 1936 at John Brown's shipyard in Scotland. This new ship was designed to be even larger than the Queen Mary, over 83,000 gross registered tons and 1,000 feet long. She was engineered to match Queen Mary's speed for that seamless weekly service. Propulsion came from state-of-the-art Parsons geared turbines driving 4 massive propellers. This magnificent vessel was, of course, launched as the RMS Queen Elizabeth. Named by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, later known as the Queen Mother, the launch on September 27, 1938 was a true spectacle. An estimated 300,000 spectators flocked to Clydebank to witness the ship slide down the slipway. Once in the water, the new ship was readied for fitting out, poised for her grand entry into transatlantic service. But as she was being completed, the shadow of World War II loomed larger and larger. By the time she was nearly ready in 1940, she sat vulnerable in the Clyde, with the war in Europe now having erupted. The Queen Mary, on the other hand, was safe in New York, but what do you do with the colossal new Queen Elizabeth, with an easy striking distance of the Nazi bombers and too big to simply disappear? Well, in Clydebank, a small crew were quietly brought on board, told only to pack an overnight bag for a short trip to Southampton on England's south coast. The official story, widely circulated, was that Queen Elizabeth would provision there before heading to New York. The crew were also asked to sign articles of the Official Secrets Act before being signed onto the ship. With enemy spies undoubtedly active in Britain, every precaution was being taken. This was a calculated deception, as the Luftwaffe were surely aware of the Southampton plan. It was Cunard White Star's home port after all, so the plan seemed legitimate. Then, on the 26th of February 1940, the Queen Elizabeth set sail from Clydebank, anchoring off Gourik for a few days. On March 3, she set sail again. This time, she headed for open ocean. Once at sea, her captain opened sealed orders. The true destination was revealed, and it was not Southampton, but New York. This was an unprecedented, daring dash across the Atlantic. The Queen Elizabeth had never had her sea trials. She hadn't been tested in open ocean. She still had her launching gear attached below the waterline. Yet this untested giant powered across the Atlantic at high speeds, and she performed flawlessly. Her arrival in New York was as dramatic as her departure. 7th of March 1940 was a foggy day, and the lighthouse operator at the Ambrose Light described what looked like a grey ghost emerging from the mist. The largest ship ever put into service, a title she held until 1996, arrived in New York unannounced, painted in grey for war.
This is how the pride of a peacetime merchant fleet completed her maiden voyage in wartime. The world's mightiest liner took her first trip from Britain to America in a coat of dull grey paint. The port authorities in Clydeside all had their share in it, and above all the crew under Captain Townley. Yes, this voyage will stand comparison with any story of the sea, how she came through the welter of perilous waters into the safe haven. Now she rides at anchor, below the towering skyscrapers in dignity and majesty, a queen indeed.
She was docked at the traditional Cunard berths, and for a brief, surreal period during those early days of the war, the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mary, and the French liner Normandy, the three largest liners in the world, sat side by side in New York Harbour, a dark and chilling sign of the escalating global conflict. And those poor crew members with their overnight bags, well, some wouldn't see home for many, many months. The Queen Elizabeth was later pressed into wartime service, sent to Singapore for a refit, and transformed into the largest troopship in the world, a title she still holds to this day. Initially refitted to carry 10,000 people, she transported Australian and New Zealand servicemen to the Middle East. When America joined the Allies, both the Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth were rerouted to the transatlantic effort, further refitted to carry an astonishing 15,000 men each. While the Queen Mary holds the record for carrying the most people in a single crossing at 16,683, the Queen Elizabeth regularly carried similar massive numbers. Life on board was challenging, to say the least. Troops were assigned strict positions for stability. There was the infamous hot bedding or warm bunk syndrome, where beds were in constant rotation, so you'd never get into cold sheets. And for the bathrooms, well, these ships were not designed for 15,000 people. Also, imagine the logistics of food, sleeping on deck, and the challenge of moving around, all while staying fit for the battle ahead. Despite these hardships, these ships were an undeniable asset for the Allies. Combined, they transported over 1.5 million troops. Just imagine that number. Winston Churchill himself credited the Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mary with helping shorten the war by at least a year. Coupled with their post-war service in repatriating war brides, they earned their place in history as national heroes. Finally, in 1947, the Queen Elizabeth entered peacetime service. She received her magnificent interior, adorned with breathtaking Art Deco designs, and at last sailed with paying passengers on board. She finally achieved that dream of the two-ship weekly transatlantic service alongside Queen Mary, and remarkably, before being accepted by Cunard White Star, she actually had to go through her official builder's trials despite performing well during the wartime effort. Although Queen Elizabeth no longer exists, I recently visited the preserved Queen Mary in Long Beach, California, so if you're interested in seeing what she's like and what a true Art Deco Cunard liner looks like, check out episode 11 of the Expert Cruise Show. Did anything about Queen Elizabeth's mad dash across the Atlantic surprise you? Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it interesting, and please subscribe so you don't miss future history videos. As always, a huge thank you to our channel members and super thanks contributors for their help to make these videos possible. And don't forget to check out my new Substack, where I go into more detail on maritime history topics each and every week. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I hope to see you on board.